Did that seriously just happen now? Oh my word, that gave me such a jump scare. Hey, what's up you guys? It's me, Gatvol, and welcome back to another video of The Letter. I feel like we're getting really close. We had a little bit of a memory unlocked thing, which was weird but also good in a way, because now we can understand the ghost story a little bit more. I'm still confused about the whole backstory of it, but I feel like as we get through Marianne and Ash and all that stuff, then we're going to get closer to it. But so, without further ado, Gatvol with The Letter. See you guys at the end of the video. Got my coffee. I'm all ready, man. When I wake, whiskey is already gone. Okay, so we nearly shagged Luke. Whatever his name is. I think it's Luke. You married, brah. But anyways. Thanks for the tea, Marianne. Is that Marianne or Mazianne? No. / whiskey. Okay, got her like hangover tablets. That's cool. Might as well. I have a job to... I can't wait for the confrontation, man. I know, right? I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs as this, however. Twiddle my thumbs and wait for the ghost signal. It's not like I can accept other smaller projects. This is a big job and I should be ready to start on it at any time. After returning an Ursula and poetry book by Henry of Potterbrady, I asked the librarian about the several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she did not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. I make headway at least when I ask about Siege and Rendition of Havana by Jacopo de Pezuela. If you count her snarling and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead, though I'd wager a guess that red's just passing by to get to the classical literature section. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure, and that's when I spot it.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
Huh? History of Luxbourne Architecture. Okay. Hey! I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raise a brow at her in the hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would intimidate the girl. Even then she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks and I can't help the smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament.
Don't you be judging the teacher, oh yeah, okay?
This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
She told you straight. This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest, how many people would know these history facts, aside from me anyway?
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Suddenly it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other back and forth in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while it goes from some strange competition into this strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
My desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales.
Yes.
Scott's supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
She told ya. By then we had forgotten about our little tug of war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I had let go of it without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah yes, Saint Goretti. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students. Who's Goretti? I could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure, but it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things. Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Inta. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at my mention of the house. I'm not surprised. That place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
Very admirable. The computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within the year, when what I have is just as functional? The traditional ways had a far more personal touch in my opinion, not to mention those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside only to have their eyes glued to the things. And damn touch screens. Swearing in here is like off the charts, man. The evil things that make typing what should have been a simple task harder.
I do have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking or thinking of the devil seems to have summoned it because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before she stands up and excusing herself. Not accusing herself. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her out.
Belle, is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far. I can be there in 10.
But with how quiet the surrounding is, she can't blame me if I overhear snippets of her conversation. When she returns with this sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has to be cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
This is when Belle was getting all frustrated and what's the word? Pedantic, and she was calling her friends to tell them about the thingy.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to the history of Luxbourne architecture. I don't give her time to think about it. As I put a hand up and shake my head, fishing out a pen and paper from my bag, along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it, but you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, penning her number down and handing it back to me with a grin. Hello, hello, hello.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course.
No problem. I'll do
You have
that.
a good day then.
Cool.
You too.
Cheers. With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, our little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made the time pass by without any of us even realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time as my mobile vibrates in my pocket the moment.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Oh God, it's her. I feel sad already.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything.
Oh God.
But I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents.
If you guys don't know, okay, go back to my first videos of the letter, okay, and watch like the last video of Bella, because I don't want to give it away, but something happens to her and it's very sad, and yeah, it makes me sad.
Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? How did they go through the process so fast? Surely there is so many red tape to even acquire the forms and the transferring of rights. No matter how rich the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
Rose, I miss you already.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
That's it. I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that even. There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. Alrighty, as it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marquis de Sade's The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before along with the rest of his work. This would be 18th time, in fact. But it's always nice to read through it again when I don't have the time to enjoy something new.
La blessure, c'est trop.
Oh God, no. The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. When I do go up to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's a Saturday, that people probably feel tired and lazy to be working on a weekend. But they're still on the clock and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually a 2x2 meter cubicle. There is a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Poroscofa Projects during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that though. Everything is as quiet as a grave. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes in through the door looking as if she's just seen one. Oh right, she doesn't go to the house until like later. She looks at me wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal? I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos.
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long, don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit, time spent to compose herself most likely.
No, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games. Marianne, it's a little heartless, don't you think? I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Batcat thingy during work hours too.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
She's acting weird, man. Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Oh, there's the floor plans. God, it's huge. Gallery, dining hall, parlor, kitchen, basement. There's a basement. Yeah, then that's the foyer, and then there's the big ballroom. So where is the ground floor, first floor? There's attics. There's 2 attics, yeah. Remember, we went into one of the attics. Yeah, balcony, balcony. But how do you get to the attics? What is that, like separate? Second floor. Second floor is attics. There's only 2 attics in the second floor. Right. And then there's the balconies. It's weird how both attics have a bed each. Alrighty then. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Okay. Jacobean style at its finest is a thing of beauty.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger. Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem, and it is an old house.
There had been little details here and there that I would have liked to address during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos' incident and the trouble with ownership. Oh, she's already seen the letter. Okay. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I shudder to think what sort of repairs they did to the place. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed to the dark corners of the room, and hidden away in barrels. Water damage could have been covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all. And if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work.
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous. And even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. You have something to say? I don't have time for this. Why don't we keep talking to her? Yeah. I give her time to speak up. When she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
Just spit it out.
Just thinking and speaking off the record. It must be fun what you do.
Not exactly. Fun.
People's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt then why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion despite the little accident she had. Now she just looked too young, too nervous and unsure of herself, although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself the way she is at this moment. Why, watching her now, she actually looks like she should still be in college. Acts a bit like it too, when I think about it. I thought she was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there, lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the estate agents handling the property. I don't even know what to make of that whole meltdown that happened with that strange document. If I were the client, I would have been very upset. She'd be in hot water for it.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
Maybe I took that a bit too far. She bites her cheek and it looks like she's barely holding herself back.
I had a choice.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about. If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
It's not that simple.
It's not? Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid. Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable, then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
A strained air settles in the room afterwards. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave, as she has said, lingering awkwardly by the door with that downcast expression. It's clear there's more she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life. Or is she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? It's an awkward affair, and I choose to hightail out of the realty office as quick as I can. Yeah, this is a good choice right there. Very, very good choice. I'm starting to get a lot heated in there. Alright, let's go. Though I am able to keep myself professional at all times does not mean I like it. And seeing that most of the day has already gone by before I realized it, I choose to head back to my flat instead. Despite today being a Saturday, no fun, but at least this way I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing whiskey in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. Monday! It's Monday. Monday couldn't come any sooner. After taking the floor plans from Miss Santos the day before the last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling in my suppliers. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm quite sure that they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did, these rich types, based from experience. Oh, hello. We're at their penthouse. So what, do they have the penthouse and the Ermengarde mansion? The best of both worlds, I guess. The elevator door opens and I'm greeted by none other than Whiskey's not-so-little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security. And only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
He shows me to the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other things in preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his words implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people don't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes or even 10. I sit in their living room just waiting. And when the kettle starts whistling and the tea has been served, I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spilled tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking, and I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I am normally not this nosy. check it out. The crash came from the hallway and I really shouldn't be snooping about. But it's just concern. Yeah, concern that urges me to check it out.
Excuse me, but where's the loo?
He barely looks my way before pointing a spatula towards the hallway. It's a good excuse as any. And if I'm caught lingering longer than I should, I could just excuse myself and say that I wasn't sure which door led to where. Okie dokie. Still looking into the hallway reveals nothing. I don't see anything that might have caused the crash. The hallway, like the rest of the place, is in pristine condition. There are several doors for not only the toilet, but also presumably rooms for their butler and for other members of the staff. As I stand there, however, something feels definitely out of place. One of the doors, the nearest within my reach, stands ajar, and from inside a light flickers incessantly. It could simply be a light bulb that needs replacing. But the thought of it in place so well taken care of seems odd, off. I think that maybe this is where the crash came from. Inside I can spy a radio lying on the floor. That's probably it, right? Maybe one of the help in a hurry to get out of the room knocked over it in the process. If that's all it is, I should really leave it alone. As I turn to leave, the sound of static fills the air and a man's tiny voice erupts the silence. What? Why am I still standing here? This seems familiar, doesn't it? Like I've heard it before. Oh, Jesus! Oh, my word! What the fuck? Did that seriously just happen now? Oh my word, that gave me such a jump scare. A recoil, backing away from whatever that was. Phew, my heart, man, I can't. In the process, I trip backwards on my feet, and I wait for the pain of falling flat on my back. But instead, I feel a hand on my back and see the smug smile of, well, guess who?
Oh, don't tell me you're reporting to work drunk, Mint.
Oh God, no. Of course I know exactly who that voice belongs to. It just have to be him.
Marianne McCullough, hammered on the job? That would be something.
But
Wouldn't dream of it, whiskey.
what was that on the radio? And why did it sound familiar to her? Was it about her? The chick that... I think there was a chick that she was in love with. Did she just like jump out of the window and kill herself? That's weird, man. And the jump scare, yo, it got me now. It got me bad.
You're allowed to be if you want it, though it's a bit early for it. So thanks for the save.
Really, it is much appreciated. Even though the circumstances during our first meeting were not savory or wholesome, I can't bring myself to completely look at Mr. Wright in a bad light. Hey, that rhymed! Nothing came out of it after all.
No trouble at all. I've been told I have a gift for catching pretty ladies. Being a great catch myself.
Oh my God.
Is that so? Would you say you'll be able to catch if another man were to pitch?
Perhaps, but I wouldn't know. I don't play baseball, Mint.
Right. Of course you don't.
I can't help but chuckle at my little joke, but it looks like it completely went over his head. If he had understood it, I guess it would have been inappropriate. He is my client after all. Speaking of which, where's Mrs. Wright? Whatever little camaraderie I had with whiskey is forgotten, however. I straighten up and glance behind him, only to find that he's on his own. Mrs. Wright is still absent. I still remember my place and why I'm here. To continue in such a manner with her husband would feel like a breach of trust between my client and I.
Since you are here, I don't suppose Mrs. Wright is on her way down? It is 10:30 after all.
She'll be down here in a moment. For now, you have me.
Oh, great. I'm so happy.
Can't I just chat with a good friend?
Friend?
I don't think a night where we talk like two drunk Egypts makes us good friends. And if you have any bit of sense, it's better to forget that night ever happened.
Damn straight.
Why not? It was a good night, if a bit boring.
You know exactly why. We both know what your intentions were that night. And to find out that you're married? If there's even an ounce of decency in you, if you'd like the world to be a little less messed up, you'll remember your wife and what you almost did to your Mrs. Wright.
It's better to get that out of the way once and for all.
Well, no need to be such a killjoy about it.
I feel like they do this to each other a lot, Mr. and Mrs. Wright. The dead air between us, because it can't be anything else but that, is broken as a lively voice calls out from the loft.
I hope I haven't kept you waiting too long.
No, please come down.
Agreed we'd start at 10 o'clock, but mornings just simply do not agree with me. Not one bit. It's been like this since I've been in university.
It's 5 minutes to 11 o'clock. These high-end clients sure like to be fashionably late. Yay!
You could have woken me up as well.
Exactly.
Were you showing Marianne around? Not that there's much to see. This place is so tiny compared to the mansion.
I'm more worried about the way she stares at me, judging such a look. It doesn't suit her pretty face at all. Just seeing Mrs. Wright reminds me too much of her. And maybe I'm starting to hear her again, see her again when I shouldn't. I should have left it all behind, forgotten it. To think she would be looking at me like that. I can just feel my hands tremble.
Oh yes, just showing her around and getting to know each other. Isn't that right, Marianne?
Yes, of course. And your butler was making breakfast a while ago. So if you want to get right to that...
Breakfast would be lovely.
There is no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it is too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Lovely! That looks delish as all hell. Got some tea going on there. I got the flapjacks, if those are or pancakes. I think they're flapjacks. Flapjacks, berries and strawberries, and then some jam on the side. Ooh, lovely. A dripping with syrup. Take me to heaven.
Serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
Come again?
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs, and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC. Oh, as well as the old owners.
You talked to the old owners? When?
Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please.
I would love to see the old owners. Are they in a nut house or something?
It's not like they were living there in the first place.
Okay, they weren't living there. Okay, so they just owned the property.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it. First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is. But at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Uh-huh.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. if you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past do not have us this involved.
I stop. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. This isn't the time or place for it, however. Instead, I use this brief pause to pull out the floor plans I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
Where? Next to the master's bedroom. Looking. I'm looking. Master bedroom. Bedroom. I'm seeing a bedroom with a balcony, I think that's what it says. No, there's the master bedroom. Little room. Quarters. It's quarters, isn't it?
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts.
It is? Says quarters. I don't see any bed in there.
Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde, which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Ladies in waiting. Why would they be waiting next to the master bedroom?
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear? We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many.
There's even a bloody theatre there, man. I'm sure we can come to some kind of agreement.
I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theatre. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
A garage. Well, the dining hall. You want to turn the dining hall into a garage right there. I'm not judging you or anything, but I don't know about that.
What for? You can park your cars outside.
What about that room? Right there, in the northeast corner.
Northwest or northeast?
That's sleeping quarters for the household help.
Where? I don't know my west and east over here, so give me a second. Northwest, northeast. I see study room. Okay, I see the quarter thingies. Okay, oh, I see there's the quarters there, next to the hall and just above the gallery. Righty.
Oh, that is perfect. Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought.
It's huge, man.
Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again. Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too and I'd dance and it was just...
Wow. He was a real guy back then. What's happened now? It's probably the drink, that's what it is. Mr. Wright playing the piano, I can't imagine it. But the honest way in which Mrs. Wright said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage?
You're not getting the garage, okay? That's just so tacky.
Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
But we can't put a garage in the house. Just build a garage, like a proper garage next to the house. Why do you got to convert a room into a garage? I don't understand.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theater, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
You're getting the stables as well.
That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
It sounds very fair, ma'am. Yes, it sounds fair.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective. I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible and it isn't going to be financially sound as well. We're already going to spend a lot on your other requests. You have several acres of land to park on already.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough cost of these things by now, love. Masters in Business Administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
That catches my attention more than anything. It sounds more unbelievable than Whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business administration and accounting? What university?
Luxborn U, of course. Go Lux Dragons. Red and gold.
Oh, wow!
Excuse me, how about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know. We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Alright, we're getting somewhere. Alright, you guys, I think I'm going to leave the episode there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it and enjoyed it, don't hesitate to hit that like button and subscribe for some more content. And leave me some suggestions as well. I always love reading your guys' comments. But anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, have an awesome day or night in the gaming world.